Good afternoon, everybody in YouTube land. How are you doing out there? This is Tom from Midnight's Edge After Dark. Welcome to the podcast. We're doing a little earlier tonight. Rob is in transit, so he's unable to join us. With us, as always, though, is Mecha Random 42. I don't have your music up here. Oh my goodness.
Do I need? Is this an angry day? I think I already got it all out of my system.
We got this.
Okay. All right. Riding crop, angry, blah, blah, blah.
It's Friday.
Casual Friday.
But we got to do your theme song. Oh, shoot. So, yeah. And with us is a new special guest. You guys may know him, you may not. Wizard of Ass himself. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty damn good.
Good to hear. New face at the channel. Mecha is a fan of yours, and she brought us to your attention, or brought your attention to us, however you want. I don't even know how to say that.
I talk a lot, but
yeah. So happy Friday, everybody. Yes, we were doing this a bit earlier. We're thinking of doing this a little earlier to kind of avoid the Friday night rush with everybody else. So yeah, this may be a new standard time for us. But yeah, some bad news to start off the day. I know Wizard of Ass isn't into the Star Trek stuff so much, so we'll try and get through this quickly. But we heard from Anas Abdeen. Unfortunately, his case has been dismissed. So in other words, CBS won, the corporate bullies that they are. I mean, it's
CBS.
It's a happy situation.
Yeah, and if you guys are unfamiliar, Anas Abdeen was the game developer who made the Tardigrades video game that, in my opinion, just completely was ripped off by CBS for their, they changed the show to match the video game. You know, we already had Warp Drive, we already had these things. Oh no, now we're using Tardigrades and Spores because Star Trek, right?
Yeah. Well, we got a super chat already. $5 from Adam Wolford. What you guys think of Drizzt? Dark Elf TV series only after all of this wokeness BS means news on the Dark Tower series. I haven't had a chance to look into the Dark Tower news yet, so I can't comment on that, Adam, but I will look into it and I will get back to it. I promise you on that. It's been I've been so rant filled with Rambo this week.
Rant filled. Oh no. I haven't watched anything about Rambo this week. I've heard Grace Randolph doesn't like it.
Oh, fuck her.
I know. Well, she's like, oh, it's misogynistic and it's toxic masculinity, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, my tweet on her tweet is actually getting some love.
Oh, no.
Or not.
What did you say?
She said Sylvester Stallone is de-evolving as a filmmaker and stuff like that. And I said, you're de-evolving as a reviewer.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I don't really watch her. She comes off as so corporate anyway, but...
So yeah, if you guys can, do run over to Twitter and give Anas some love and some support right now. I'm sure he needs it. This is just a shitty situation. I feel like, there's just no way the little guys can ever get ahead in something like this. And I mean, I know Wizard of Ass, I'm sorry you're not real familiar with the situation, but for those like yourself who aren't, Anas is a independent video game developer who came up with a video game that revolved around a big blue tardigrade that traveled through space. And basically, that was how Star Trek Discovery traveled through space, was through the use of a big blue tardigrade. So,
now, have you seen Star Trek before?
I've watched the original series, and I really enjoyed it. I've never watched much else, though. I'd like to watch the original movies. Okay. I just haven't done it yet.
But, I mean, I think even casual viewers kind of know or probably have heard Warp Drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, even your casual Star Trek fan knows that you don't travel through space on a tardigrade. They have warp drive, and it's so disappointing, right?
Yeah,
and yeah, don't give CBS your money. Absolutely, Major Grey Wolf, totally.
I don't watch TV, so no CBS for me.
That's kind of how I am too. I am the person who kind of does this out of habit, but yeah, like 20 years ago, I probably turned off the TV completely, and just lately I've been probably watching more stuff than I ever have because of YouTube.
Yeah,
and I'm kind of to the point where I don't even want to see these movies anymore. I don't want to watch the TV shows. I don't want to bother with it. I'm gonna just watch independent content creators because that's better stuff in my opinion.
I love watching a lot of stuff on YouTube. I mean, I do very little Netflix and Amazon Prime, but I mainly watch those for movies that I can't find anywhere else. But largely I do like watching, different types of stuff on YouTube. That's a lot of my entertainment right now.
And I think that's how a lot of us are getting too. We'll watch like the main event movies and we'll watch stuff out of habit.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just less and less reason for us to kind of come in and support the main companies and the industries. And and I'm kind of one of those people. I've always been anti-Disney, anti-corporate America, anti-mainstream as much as I can. And it's just kind of like, well, yeah, see, I guess I was right all these years. I think I was right.
Yeah, unfortunately, corporations have gotten so dang large and they're just kind of pumping out the same old thing. It's like there's so much out there that can be created. I mean, I think YouTube has proven that average people can create great stuff and you don't need to create the same thing over and over and over again.
Right, like how many fan films go viral all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and they look 10 times better than anything they're pumping out of Hollywood. That's a really good point there too. Yeah.
Yep. It's real unfortunate.
But yeah, speaking of the independent workers of YouTube like ourselves, we want to thank everybody for joining us here on this Friday night. I hope everybody's doing well. It sounds like Captain Robert April's dealing with some issues, but hopefully that works out in the end. Adam Wolford, another $2. Guys know the Stay on TV series on CBS app. Thought I heard about that.
Yeah, I haven't watched it. I saw the original miniseries. That's one of my few Stephen King ones that I really liked. But
yeah, I don't know who's all behind it yet. Let me look here. I know I heard a little bit about it.
Yeah, and of course, this is a remake of the Stand, the Stephen King miniseries, or it's a readaptation, I suppose. It's probably going to be just a remake of the miniseries, though, to be perfectly honest, because that's kind of what they did with it, right?
I think it's supposed to be like a series. Yeah, the original it was a miniseries to that.
Well, yeah.
Looks
But
like
I just thought they were redoing it.
Involved. James Marsden and Whoopi Goldberg are in the cast. I know very little about it. It's coming from Vertigo and Warner Brothers and CBS All Access. So
That's weird.
Interesting. So Warner Brothers is actually behind the show itself.
Okay.
So at least that's a little more.
Still, they're not really any less guilty than the rest of them.
No, but they do have like a lot of Stephen King's properties there.
That's
like,
true.
I'm surprised this isn't under Castle Rock, which is one that usually does a lot of his.
Well, the Warner stuff usually goes to like what NBC Universal.
No, CBS has a lot of deals with Warner Brothers.
Okay.
Like Big Bang, for instance, was a Warner Brothers show originally, until they started paying for it. But yeah, this guy is the guy who directed Fault in Our Stars, and was a writer for the New Mutants. He's the guy who's working on this. I don't know. I'll have to wait and see what we get out of it for a trailer. Look, the cast looks interesting. You got Greg Kinnear and quite a few other names involved. Amber Heard. Not a big fan of hers, but otherwise, I don't know. Yeah, it could be good. I'm feeling better for it now that I know it's going to be a 10-episode series, according to Adam. Yeah, that sounds about right. I feel a little better for it now, knowing Warner Brothers is behind it, not CBS. That part of it.
Mm-hmm. But still, I mean, you got to use the CBS app, and there are.
Yeah.
I'm going to recommend. I'm going to do something I rarely do, and I'm going to recommend finding better ways to watch. If you have to watch Discovery, find a better way to watch it.
Well, I wouldn't say the problem, like what Rob and I always say, is that there's nothing else on the app unless you want to watch really old shows of certain things,
like MASH.
And a lot of even some of the classic CBS shows aren't even on there because they're owned by other companies or will be leaving.
Yeah.
So you have that other problem too, and that's just it. If they start getting some other stuff that's worth watching, then I wouldn't complain so much. But like I said, I'm not going to get an entire. I hate paying for an entire streaming service just for one damn show that I don't want to watch in the first place.
Right. That's how we are.
So yeah, moving on from that, what was the next bit of business we had to deal with? I don't remember now, but I mean, I guess we can kind of jump off.
Independent creators getting squashed for corporate.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I've tried to talk to Gary about this. He had said that he got Gary of Nerdrotic. he had lost his check mark or verification. He still has it.
All
So
right. We got just in 3 minutes ago from Susan herself from YouTube.
Okay.
Update 1. We heard loud and clear how much the badge means to you. Channels that currently have verification will now keep it without appeal. We'll continue reviewing those channels to ensure we're protecting creators from impersonation. More on our changes. All right. So that's good.
So maybe that's why he got it back. If he got it back.
And
maybe they just hadn't pulled it yet, possibly.
Yeah.
And
now, did this affect Andre too? Did you guys hear? Or
we haven't heard nothing. That's why I was like, "Holy shit!" When I heard you when you brought it up earlier was the first time I heard about it, and then I ran to Gary's Twitter to verify that he had written it and seen if he had any updates, which he hadn't. And I talked to Gary a little bit earlier, but when I reached back out to him about this, because he didn't say nothing about this to me, so when I reached, I haven't heard back from him yet. So hopefully if I hear anything between now and the end of the show, I'll definitely let you guys know what's going on. But I guess that's kind of the answer to what we're looking for right there.
Yeah, because I recorded a whole video I haven't had a chance to upload yet, where I basically instruct people to, if they do not want to see the corporate content, just block them. Report, block, flag, tell YouTube you're not interested, and they'll get the hint eventually.
Do that.
Huh? And you can still do that too.
Oh, you can? I thought you said you couldn't, because I had to jump out of your show, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, well you couldn't if it's in the trending. You couldn't say I'm not interested in the trending video specifically, but you can block, the content creator, like Ariana Grande, which I totally did today because she was the first one that came up that I'm like, I don't care what she has to say. She's 12 years old. She's singing Disney songs. I don't care.
I barely even know who that is.
Yeah.
Good.
I run into the problem though is I have to keep up on a lot of this stuff, so I can't block a lot of this stuff. The same thing as people and stuff like that.
I know. That's kind of how I am too on some of the I can't block Entertainment Tonight Canada because sometimes they give us the best Brie Larson memes and they give us the best. They actually give us. Actually the fans aren't that toxic, and it's the media telling. Actually Solo wasn't that good of a movie. There was something that came out of ET Canada that was really good, but.
They seem to be a little bit more worried about the actual entertainment news instead of who's wearing what or who's fucking who. Yeah.
Well, they seem to give some reasonable feedback of why some of these movies were failing instead of just the fans are toxic. It's yeah, maybe the movie studios are.
Yeah, I don't know how old Wizard is, but back in the day, E and Entertainment Tonight actually used to be decent entertainment outlets, and then it came all about who's doing what with who and who's wearing what. That's about it.
Yep.
The Kardashian kind of crap.
Oh god, yeah, and that's why I don't listen to that stuff anymore, right? I don't care. I wanted to know who's directing what movie is getting, a sequel, what movie's getting made. I like knowing that type of stuff because I'm still kind of a movie pop culture fan, even though I kind of prefer the stuff you'll never hear, because then you get all the ins and outs. I follow directors of movies that people have never heard of. I have probably 10 times more subscribers than directors that I am huge fans of. And I have DVDs of on my shelf. So, that's kind of where we're at with entertainment anyway, at least for me, but I'm a huge B-movie fan. So.
Same.
Yeah.
I'm kind of following a lot more based on who's making the movie rather than the type of franchise it is or anything like that.
Oh, exactly. It's one of my all-time favorites was Mark Perot because he made kind of horror comedies. He made Nudist Colony of the Dead, Polish Vampire in Burbank, all those type of movies. And yeah, I think his YouTube channel is sitting at 7,000 subscribers.
I know Ralph Bakshi is pretty low, but he doesn't really upload as much as he should. But I know that he's not doing much animation anymore, but I'd still love to see him talk about anything he wanted to talk about. I'd love to listen to him.
I didn't even know he had a YouTube channel. Yeah.
Yeah, he does have one. He got a couple of short films he's done on it, which are interesting. But yeah, doesn't really hear from him anymore, which is sad because I think he's a really good animator.
Yeah, that's somebody I'm sure we'd love to talk to on Midnight's Edge.
Mm-hmm. Just reach out. That's the thing. And that's why. Well, thank you so much for being here too. That's why I'm you know what? This is a channel I love. I don't care if you even know who we are. Please come on the channel because this is a channel I love. So. Yeah, I don't know if you want to give the viewers tell us a little bit about you, your channel, what type of stuff you do.
Yeah, no, whatever. Kind of settled in.
I've varied many different types of things, but as of since the beginning of this year, I've just been doing action figure reviews. And they're not the typical action figure reviews, as Becca Random 42 could probably tell you, because I've watched a number of different number of action figure reviews, and a lot of them are the same. They're just a static shot, and they just ramble incoherently, and they go into very minute details that you can plainly see if you're watching the video. I know a lot of like wrestling based action figure reviewers, they go like, well, the knee pad is purple. It's like, yeah, I can see that. You don't need to go into that. So I don't go into extreme details. I like to have fun and, add humor to it and, do different types of editing. And they're all really short too. I don't like to go more longer than they have to be. So, but I also do as Mecca mentioned earlier on her stream, that I did some stand-up, so I uploaded that earlier, and done some other stuff about mental illness and stuff like that, but largely it's just my action figure reviews. And then my second channel, which I work with my friend El Bastardo, we just do sketches, and we've done stoner commentaries basically on bad movies. But we do just a lot of different stupid stuff just to be funny.
Yeah, I think that's how I found you guys, was the Electric Bastards Entertainment channel. Mm-hmm. And I subscribed to that. I was looking for just some B movie. I was watching a whole bunch of B movies, and I'm like, oh, these guys do like a Mystery Science Theater sort of commentary. Oh, no, this is closer to Beavis and Butthead. Subscribed. Yeah. Right. And that's the best way to describe the commentaries. They do the stuff I wish I could do and get away with on my channel. Like the playlist. I was a huge fan of the videos, the bad music videos.
Oh, yeah.
I love those because I can sit there and watch that stuff. I find that more entertaining to me than like the mainstream pop princesses. Mm-hmm. Give me somebody I would never see or never hear of.
Yeah, we love obscure stuff around here. Me and El Bastardo, we anything obscure and weird, we'll fall in love with it.
That's exactly how I am. Like, you guys, a million people could tell me to watch, the most popular superhero movie, and then I'll be coming back at them with, yes, but have you seen this movie that only 400 people have watched on YouTube that no one's ever heard of? So that's definitely my type of humor and style. So I love the 420 humor, and exactly on his main channel, the superhero and not superhero, the wrestling figures, the little action figure reviews, they're comedy sketches. They're the type of little funny thing that you used to see on back on what was the ones, TV Funhouse, those sort of shows.
Yeah.
And when Saturday Night Live had good little comedy skits, you would just see some weird little put together comedy skit or a cutaway on South Park back in the day.
Yeah.
So that, hopefully, if you guys like that, go subscribe. And if Tom wants to drop a link.
I also kind of think of sometimes when I think of action figures and stuff like that, there was an old thing on Nickelodeon. I can't remember what it's called, but it used to have some action figures on it. It had a really weird title. I remember like one action figure kept going in the toilet all the time. It was weird. I can't remember what the action figures, super figures, I don't remember. It was just some weird little Nickelodeon show that was around for a short time.
And those were always the best shows too. The ones that were just around for like a second. Action League Now.
League Now. That's what it was. That's right.
So I just dropped the link to his channel in the chat, and then Tom got it too. Woot! Thank you.
Right. Oh, I was muted. I didn't realize it.
Yeah. But yeah, and that's the type of stuff. Sometimes you just need something fun and entertaining, and I'm always on my high horse saying go support independent creators, and I do. I'm not just out here saying that. Like the stuff I watch is the independent creators, and I watch guitar channels, and I watch travel channels, and I don't care what Hollywood likes to shovel to us a lot of the time, and the movies are never as good as they like to market them as.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wish, with all the money that Hollywood makes, I wish they'd take more risks on something that's new and weird or strange, and I just wish they'd take more risks on something new rather than shoveling out the same old thing, because we can always get that, but we rarely ever get something that's strange or different or new, which I think they can afford to do if they want it.
Mm-hmm. Now, if Rob were here, he would use the music business analogy, where Frank Zappa said, "Yeah, back in the day, the corporate business guys from the record labels would just grab everybody who had a band, and they would press everything. They let anything out there and see what stuck." And we had a little bit of that in the '60s, late '60s, and we had a lot of that in the mid to late '90s as well. Like that post grunge scene, you saw everything getting a record label and record deal. Or even like little independent labels popping up everywhere, because I'm kind of a music snob as well. And you would see all of this stuff. We don't really have that opportunity, as much as we did, but we do in a different way. We have stuff like YouTube. We have stuff like SoundCloud. We have Twitch. I can go over to Twitch and listen to independent musicians. There's guitar players I watch on Twitch live that have their own songs, and they'll do covers, and there's songs that like I never knew I would listen to this song from Shawn Mendes, but the way you play it, I don't mind it, because and that's the type of stuff I like and enjoy when Hollywood and corporate America are just like destroying everything. They don't want to take risks on anything. They know that they can get their minimum dollar back by cranking out a reboot of the same stuff over and over again, because they know they can at least, people will at least go, oh yeah, I'll go see that new Smurfs thing, see if it's any good, or I'll go see that new remake of that movie from the '80s. I'll go see that new Ghostbusters, see if it's any good.
Yeah, it's always actually it's unfortunate for the filmmaker, but I always find it funny when they do try to remake something and it fails miserably. Like I remember they tried to redo Heathers. I don't know if you ever saw the trailer, but I was like, why would you do that?
Didn't that get stopped before it could do any damage though?
Maybe because I only saw the trailer, but I never heard about it ever again. So it was
weird. I don't think
weird.
it ever made it to TV, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be wrong.
I know that Gem and the Gem movie didn't do very well either.
That flopped. Of course, Ghostbusters notoriously flopped. RoboCop did okay, but that was probably the least of the remakes that was like, I wanted to hate the movie, but by the end of it, I'm like, it wasn't as bad.
Yeah, it wasn't so bad. It was just not
kind of a reversal on the original movie in a way, and just it missed the tongue-in-cheek nature of the original film. And I don't think it really. I mean, so at least, I guess I probably would have been pissier if they tried that and been like, "Oh, you're just trying to do the original all over again." So
yeah,
at least that one I can give a little bit of credit to. But I'm glad they're going back, as far as we know, to the original timeline again. Which that's what's going on with a lot of these. Even Child's Play, even though the original still was going on, they had the reboot. The original's still happening, folks. They still got that TV show coming, I think this fall or beginning of next year or whatever it is. That's still in the original timeline. So I don't know how much of a horror fan you are, Wizard of Ass. But
I love horror movies. I've seen about every one of them up to like 1940, and I'm still trying to keep on going as much as possible. So
that's cool. Yeah. Mecca and I are actually the horror fans on the channel. Oh, Andre is too. But
I love horror. I can watch. I mean, there's a lot of bad horror out there, which those can be really fun. But unfortunately, there's occasionally the ones you'll find where they're just dull or boring or just like I've seen this before. But I love horror altogether.
Yeah, anymore. I mean, Mecca and I are kind of in the same camp where we think they rely too much on CGI and jump scares, and it's like every other movie is the haunting of this person or the exorcism of this person, and it's like
or a remake of something you already saw.
Or a third version of whatever. Yeah, because aren't they doing Black Christmas again this year? And
I don't know. Did they? I'm gonna do Nightmare on Elm Street again. They're doing Nightmare on Elm Street again. I saw.
Don't give them any. Well, here's the thing: is what I think is going to happen with Nightmare on Elm Street. I think they're going to do one more one-off with Robert Englund again, like in the next couple years, and that's it. And then they'll wait a little bit, and then they'll reboot it completely. That's the close. I don't think they're going to remake it again, because the remake did not. That was another one that did not do well, and thankfully, because it was garbage.
I won't see it.
You didn't see it, and I won't.
Not pay me to see that.
I figured that out, and I'm like, you know what? Never mind. I'm not going to force you to do that.
No, it's Freddy. I've got my Talking Freddy still from when I was a kid. Like, no.
The last good horror movie that was recent that I saw, I think, was Hereditary. I really enjoyed that.
I didn't mind It Chapter 2. I thought it was okay.
I haven't seen that yet, but I did enjoy the newer It one too.
Yeah, the second one felt even more so like a throwback to the 80s horror.
Okay.
So if anybody who's a fan of like slashers from the 80s and stuff like that will really, I mean, I've seen some mixed reviews on it. But speaking of sequels and updates and all that kind of stuff, I did get to see Rambo last night. And I hope a lot of you listening get a chance to go out and see it. The movie's great. Forget what the critics are saying. Ignore them.
All right. I
They're
usually do, so that's no problem.
Or go for people you trust. That's the thing. If you know that you like the same type of movies they do, and you know that's kind of why I watched a lot of YouTubers for reviews of movies, because sometimes friends will recommend something and your friend might not have the same taste as you, or they might like hype something up way too much and like want you to like it because they do. But yeah, I trust YouTube critics a lot more, depending on who they are, I think. But because some of them, I don't know.
Well, I think a lot of them are letting their agenda get in the way, or they're allowing themselves to be, or they're preserving their self-preservation is starting to show when it comes to Rambo. Yeah. I mean, they're pushing it with the whole "this is Trump country," this is blah blah blah. Blah. I'm sorry, I didn't see anything in the movie that I would consider necessarily racist. I didn't see anything in the movie that really pushes anything pro-Trump, has much of anything to do with any kind of immigration or anything like that.
Oh, but he fires a gun, and anybody
who
does I know. I know.
It's Rambo,
right?
Yes. What's he supposed to do?
It's either an assault rifle or a knife.
Yeah, what's he supposed to do? Come out and start giving people flowers or something? I mean, come on.
It'll be like the Democratic National Convention. They put a flower in the gun barrel. The 1967 one, I think, or whatever.
Just tell everybody to just stop it. That's what he does.
Yo, Adrian.
You're being very insensitive to each other's feelings. Now you should talk about it and take a class. Oh God.
War is murder.
Yeah, I think so. I think it usually is. There's no nice way to say it. Like they don't understand. Do you remember You Canada on Television, Tom? Right? Yeah. Or anybody remember that? They had a sketch where I think it was like Alistair and Adam were in the movie theater, and I think they were watching a movie where it was Rambo kills everyone. See Rambo kill your best friend. See Rambo kill you. And it was like a 3D thing where like they were actually getting shot in the theater. God, I missed that show. I wish you would never be able to do that today. But yeah.
No.
Yeah, and that's what I assume Rambo does. He goes out. It's like John Wick. You don't go to John Wick expecting a baking lesson channel, right? Though that's a great idea. Keanu, next John Wick, make a cake or something. That would be great.
We're gonna make a cake. First, you put it in the flour, and then we need 2 eggs. Crack them gently.
Yes, but what happens when you get to the spoon? You need to mix it with a spoon. Here's where you can cross over into the Matrix, and that'll be the next one.
It's bending. Here we go again with the disconnect between the audience and the critics. And this is something we've noticed a lot lately. I don't know if this is something you've noticed at all, Wizard, but this is something that we've paid a lot of attention to, especially lately with, here you got audience. I think it was higher than this before. Unfortunately, went down a little. There's a few diehard like Rambo fans that are like, oh, it's just a generic movie. It's a Rambo in name only. I'm like, yeah, it's a very different movie from all the other Rambo movies. But you know what? You can only do the same thing too many times with Rambo to where, it's the same damn thing all over. They were damned if they did, damned if they don't. Because if they did anything that was just a typical Rambo movie, all you were going to hear was, oh, it's just the same old thing.
Yeah.
So he did something a little different. Yeah, I was expecting more comparisons to like Taken and Unforgiven and stuff like that. But yeah, so I mean, there's a few people that I understandably they're like, oh, it's in Rambo in name only. I get that. This movie is different in the sense that you can walk into this, have not seen any of the other Rambo movies at all, and still get into this movie. All you need to look, I mean, yes, I get it. It is kind of a generic kind of form of Rambo in a way, to where it's like you go into it, you can see him as just an ex, Green Beret, Vietnam vet, who's somebody you don't really want to mess with. That's really all you need to know about the character going in. So, I mean, I know
Rambo.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. It's like, I mean, yeah, you can sure it's a lot like The Equalizer, sure it's a lot like Taken and all that kind of stuff. That in this sense, that's the kind of movie this is. So people, I mean, the trailer doesn't hide that. So it's not like they're advertising a movie that you're not getting. Yeah, it's kind of like Logan, says Robert Pearson. So yeah, I mean, it's a very dour, dark movie. Don't get me wrong, but it's a very good movie. Now, some people have said the pacing is off. Now, the movie's short as shit. I feel like a whole big chunk of the movie was cut out. Like, it's weird because there was also like some behind the scenes shots of Rambo in like a black overcoat and black hat, and I don't remember seeing him in the movie at all in that. So I don't know where that scene went. Unless I missed it because I was just so enthralled with the movie. It got me going though. This is the first time I've seen a movie in a while where I actually remember it getting me emotionally involved. I felt my tension build. I felt, like I felt something in the movie. And I mean, I know some people have said it has no heart, it has no soul. I disagree with that. I don't think that's true. So that's just my personal opinion. But I don't want to get into too much because I don't want to spoil anything. But I know, Wizard, you said you're a fan of the first film. Mecca, I'm not sure if you've even seen any of the movies. To be honest,
haven't. No. That's all I know about it was You Can't Do That on Television. And then didn't Greg Giraldo have like the Reading Rambo skit that he did?
Yeah, and then they had one on UHF and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, UHF. I know the UHF.
Of course, Hot Shots Part 2 is basically just Rambo 3.
Okay, yeah, I've seen that. Okay, I've seen that a million times.
$5 from Adam Wolford. Again, I guess this show has been brought to us by Adam Wolford. Thank you, sir. Mm-hmm. Hey, guys, have you heard that they are doing Mortal Kombat? They're race switching the Asian characters with black actors. Also, happy Area 51 Day. Yeah, I heard the Area 51 thing. I did not hear about Mortal Kombat. I did hear they were thinking about updating it. I did not hear about the Asian characters being blackwashed, though. That's going to be interesting to see what comes out of that.
Oh, they always have to diversity up stuff because
it's already diverse, though.
I know.
It is. It's probably one of the more diverse things that come out of the 90s.
Right?
You got centaurs even. Come on.
Yeah, they even got half horse people and shit. Four-armed guys.
So what are we going to talk about Area 51 at all and laugh at those people?
Oh, why not? Let's otherwise I'm going to start spoiling Rambo. I thought this was just nothing but a joke to begin with, really, this Area 51 thing.
That's what the original poster said, but it somehow kind of got sort of serious out of his hands.
Right. Well, and I see some people in the town have gotten together, and I think they've just created like a little festival out of it. That I'm not surprised. So
it's kind of like Burning Man near Area 51.
Yeah. It looks fun, but like, don't go in past where they say they'll shoot you. Please don't do that. They will shoot you.
Yeah, even if you say that they can't stop us all, well, they might actually.
Yeah, they're the military. They're trained at doing that. That's their job. Mm-hmm. Their job is to go in and fight angry mobs and other soldiers and things. Don't. But go hang out at the festival. Go get some shaved ice. Go get your picture taken with an ET cutout. I'm sure. What else do they have there? I don't know.
Well, if you were to cross behind the lines, the most lucky you might get is they might use the alien technology to actually kill you.
That'd be cool. Except it's not at Area 51. It's over at Nellis. But oops. No, I mean, no. There's no alien technology at all whatsoever. Except, what was the thing you sent me from CNN last night, Tom?
The Navy has had to confirm, or they can't deny anymore, that UFOs are probably a real thing. There's a bunch of videos that came from.
Do you want to show a clip of that, or
if I can get away with it?
You can probably show a still frame. I would say you can show us the still frame of whatever they're.
If I get to where if I go past where they're doing the report and get to the footage, I might give you.
MK Ultra says Justin Trudeau will play Scorpion. Get over here. Oh God. Oh, I don't want to get into that.
News now, I guess, and it's been the last few days. But let me see if I can get it to come up here. So sorry. Yeah,
Kenzie Sketch is a soldier. I alone can take out runners at expert level on the range. Don't do it. They train more than I did, and they're MPs. Yeah, they're military police.
Well, the
Hey,
smart
yeah,
thing
check
to
it out.
do was, to get a festival going, keep people in order, because
Mhm.
otherwise, the only one who's going to get hurt is that dumb idiot at 4:00 in the morning who's way too drunk and too high on shrooms and thinks he can storm Area 51 all by himself.
I'm
Yeah.
invisible.
Yeah,
Well, hell, my friend Fedorable will tell you that that's kind of where some of the mushrooms are out in the middle of the desert somewhere.
peyote. Yeah, he's probably found some peyote and.
Well, yeah, God. I mean, you thought you had a good time in Vegas when we went in last summer. If Fedorable had been there, holy crap! Holy crap! We would have been bailing you guys out, man. I'm surprised we weren't anyway.
Oh, I thought I was going to have to go bail out
Jesse,
Jesse a couple times. Yeah.
The U.S. Navy is finally acknowledged. The video is appearing to show UFOs flying through the
you on
air.
audio too here?
They don't call them UFOs.
Well, I'm
They
just
call
going to do
them
this part
unidentified
first,
aerial
and then
phenomena. The several videos they're talking about were recorded years ago by fighter pilots. Then in 2017, they were made public by the New York Times. More now from our Randy Kay.
Okay, now I'll bring up the video. Hang on. I wanted to get it past the CNN stuff so I don't get a strike from CNN or some shit. But yeah, here's the video clips they released. Let's add up here.
It's rotating.
Images of that rotating thing captured by U.S.
We
Navy
might have to talk
aircraft.
over it.
Sensors locking in on the target.
Yeah, there's a
Commander
couple different
David
Yeah,
videos.
pause it every 5 seconds too.
During a
Here.
training mission.
Okay, so what are the odds that that's just like a blimp or a weather balloon or something?
Not the way it's moving. No
Okay.
fucking way. And that's the thing, is they can't deny it anymore because the way this stuff is
Describing it like a
moving. Yeah, the
40-foot-long
speed that these are moving
tic-tac,
at. and-
maneuvering rapidly.
Yeah.
Oh, that's one of the cigar ones. Okay.
Both looked
Yeah.
out the right side of our airplane. We saw a disturbance in the water and a white object, oblong, pointing north.
The object was first sighted in 2004.
That's probably-
Then similar
Yeah, the white. Okay, so there is some early footage of kind of cigar-shaped UFOs way back, like
Right.
in the 30s. Some of the first recorded, but I don't think they were white.
Yeah, I don't know.
And if you guys do like the UFO talk, I do guest over on
Yeah.
Little Book every night, pretty much.
Creepy little book with Pete and them guys over there with Mecca. She shows up quite often, and yeah.
Sketch has been on with us. Sketch knows.
Yeah,
and
you're into that kind of
humorous. A lot of you guys, I heard a lot of you guys from stream to stream. So
Rio Stu says, "I hope aliens." No, aliens don't care about us. You know what? They're more interested in cows than they are us, because they look at us and they're like, God, all they do is eat crap and watch porn on their phones. That's all they do.
We are a pretty volatile species, so they might be kind of weirded out by that. If they're very intelligent and peaceful, they might kind of view us as kind of weird in that manner.
Yeah, they just eat a lot of crap and they have weird sex. That's all they think.
why are they so obsessed with these their little computer phone things? Like, don't they have lives? Don't they understand that their planet's gonna destroy itself and that they're
They'd rather watch people procreate than do it themselves. Very odd.
It's like, why are they all yelling at each other all day? Why are they obsessed with the Orange Man? I don't know.
What is this Twitter thing?
Or they're probably looking at us going like, oh shit, here it comes in another few years. That's when they start repeating history again. Here we go.
Well, actually, they're probably looking like we give them all this technology and all they do to use it for is to masturbate with.
Well, we are apes, right? We are evolved apes.
And we gave them all this technology, and this is the best they could come up with.
And their cars only get 27 miles per gallon. Ha ha ha.
And their cars haven't gotten much better in the last 50 years. They're just looking at us like lazy
Still using liquefied dinosaurs to run their vehicles.
right? Such primitive idiots.
We are, but we're better than we were. But man, we got to pay attention to the stuff we've gone through, or else we're just gonna repeat it.
Yep.
Now I'm seeing like people are burning books and stuff. Like, are you? No.
Oh, God, yeah, I seen the schools are pulling out books now. I don't know if you have anything to say about this, but I seen this too, Mecca. You're right. Schools are pulling out books now that they deem what was it, culturally inappropriate? Is that what they put it as?
So put it, hey, caution. This was written before we knew what we were talking about, before we knew to be nice to each other. So put a warning on it.
The way it was sometimes. I mean, there's a reason why there's a lot of racism in To Kill a Mockingbird. It's part of the story.
Mm-hmm. Fahrenheit 451. They never read Fahrenheit. And that's one of those books that the more and more you see with people, the less likely they are have to read that. And it's disgusting.
Probably one of the books that got burned.
Yeah, probably. It's probably the first one.
Next thing you know, they're going to start putting warning labels on books.
I
could care less if they did that, to be honest, Wizard. At least they would leave them. You know, this is the thing, is the censorship about it. And we've talked about not to step over your Mecca. I'm really sorry.
No, go ahead.
But it's important that this is said. I love that at least Warner Brothers has had the balls to put out the more racist and racier cartoons on Blu-ray and DVD and not censor them, and at least have Whoopi Goldberg come out and say, no, it's important that these aren't censored, because to censor them would be like the racism never existed in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's like, I know there's been some arguments of like Civil War museums, and people like they'll complain about, oh, there's a Southern flag here, we should get rid of that. I'm like, no, that's actually kind of part of the history. It's a bad part of the history, but we need to know about that too.
Well, not just that, people like simplify it. It's like that flag does not necessarily signify racism. Yeah, it can be used in a racist way, but the flag itself is not the symbol of the racism. It's the person who's holding the flag.
Yeah.
Because if that's the case, then we got to turn around and say the American flag is just as racist, because we had slaves at the same time. We had a very similar flag.
Exactly.
So, yeah, you can't have a cake and eat it too.
No, they already have complained. Remember with the sneakers last summer? I think they had the Betsy Ross flag on the Nikes in July.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
And they did complain. They're like, no, this is racist. I'm like, no, that's historical patriotism. Yeah, some of those people were jerks and owned other people. I didn't, though, and it's important that we understand and we learn from their mistakes. It's important we know what people went through, and to kind of know that, yeah, it got better for a while. It never was perfect. There was always assholes out there, but it got to the point where I was watching Captain Sisko on Deep Space Nine, and I was never once thinking to myself, I'm so wonderful because my favorite captain is black. It's like, no. I said, my favorite captain is a combination between Kirk and Picard, and he punched Q. His color of his skin never had anything to do with it. It was important for his character that his family grew up, his family comes from New Orleans. They had the history of the Creole cooking. And yeah, to have an African-American actor play that character, probably a good call. It makes sense for the time period. It makes sense for the history of that area, that, yeah, there's a lot of people of color in that area. Yeah, absolutely. That's a great representation, right? That's a good example of representation. You took somebody growing up in like the Louisiana Bayou, and you made him the best captain, in my opinion, on Star Trek. But
no, these people are becoming exactly what they claim the other side is, and that is basically Nazis. I don't want to put it out there, but it's true, because you're creating your own propaganda. You're creating your own history. You're retelling and reconfiguring things to where it's like a person can't even tell a true to life story anymore. I'd be like, well, wouldn't it be better if we had a more diverse cast? But it's like, yeah, but this is a story about an all black pilot crew from World War II. I can't make a third of them Asian. I don't know what you want me to do here. I mean, that's the kind, I'm just using that as an example. It's not a real situation, but it is the kind of walls that are kind of, I can see a lot of creators running into now with the state of Hollywood and the way things are going in this counterculture, cancel culture, whatever you want to call it, is trying to like just basically do exactly what people like the Nazis have done before, and that is create their own history, erase what they don't want there. They're the good people. There's all these other people are bad people, no matter what the situation. And it's like, no. There's a gray area here in this situation that you're ignoring completely on top of everything else. Yeah. Sorry.
Look at my stream today. Somebody came in. Why do you like Trump? I'm like, what part of anything about me suggests I do? When have I ever said anything positive about the man? When I have ever, and it's
on political things, but yeah, it's true.
They just assume they have a stereotype.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a stereotype that everybody who disagrees with them is an alt-right conservative Christian, white supremacist, Trump supporting, gun-toting hillbilly, right? And that's not the case. Everybody who disagrees with you might just be a little smarter or a little more evolved or a little, more fair and observant, and they might just be taking words and life lessons from things like Star Trek and history, and they might understand, oh, I can see what's coming, because this is like 1920 something, right? This is like 1920 something Germany. This isn't good. This is not going to go good because this didn't go good then, and this is what happened then. So you don't need to be a rocket scientist to understand things, but people get their stereotypes, right?
Yeah, you're making a good point there, Mecca, and that is, to ignore the past is to repeat the past.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most, the glaring lesson being lost. Yeah.
And that's the type of stuff we learned from, Ray Bradbury and Star Trek and all of these science fiction writers and authors that, they weren't talking down to people. They were being uplifting. They were being encouraging in a lot of ways, even if they were using a scary book or a scary movie to do so. Like, Fahrenheit 451 is kind of a scary book because it's something that could and is happening, That's people are like, oh, why aren't you scared of like horror games? Why don't you, you're boring watching me play. I'm watching you play a jump scare game and you're not scared by it. No, because I know actual scary things out there. I'm a person with a great deal of social anxiety.
Motherfucker, you can't scare me.
I was like, yeah, I'm more scared of going to the DMV or going for duty,
I got bills. You can't scare me. I got shit to deal with. You want to scare me, you better come up with something better than this.
I know.
That's why you were mentioning earlier about, jump scares in horror movies. Like they're not really scary. I mean, there's far more horrifying things there in the world than a jump scare.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And like, I like the horror as escapism. I like a lot of that stuff, and yeah, I can fantasize about being Carrie and, using telekinesis to kill everybody and get revenge. I can do that sort of thing. And I would never do it for real because I understand the difference between reality and fiction. And this is the other thing that people are coming to kind of bring it back to entertainment with the Joker. They're going after the Joker movie now. And I know, Tom, you're a little bit more like in agreement with the people who are like, yeah, maybe this isn't a good idea to glorify the bad guy. And I totally get that. But you get people who take that to the extreme and they say that it's going to have every, it's a stereotype of what they think, is this white male incel basement dwelling, whatever.
That's why I put it, because I know right now the first time somebody does something in the name of the Joker, it's going to cause a big bunch of controversy.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Well, we already had that, but it's
get worse though this time. It's gonna because it's gonna happen right in the middle of SJW America.
I know, and that's what I'm terrified of, is that they aren't going to understand how dangerous they can get. They aren't understanding, and there's not a lot of reasoning with people, and there's not a lot of civil discourse. We're kind of at each other's throats on both sides, and there's NPCs and people who don't understand stuff on both sides who want to stereotype everybody a certain way. And I certainly kind of get that way when I pull up the meme people and the typical SJW memes. But it's really important. We got to kind of work beyond some of this, and it's and yelling and screaming is the best way to make people do the opposite.
We need more situations like Dave Chappelle, Walter Mosley, and Rambo. So folks, if you're a Rambo fan, get your ass out there this weekend and go see that movie, because it's only looking like it's going to do like 23 million.
I saw Grace Randolph gloating it was third at the box office.
Yeah, it's not doing the best right now. I wish it was doing better. I don't know why people aren't paying attention to it. Come on, folks. This is the same thing that happened to Shaft, and that was another movie that right now we needed. So you guys turned out for Chappelle. Let's do this. It's worth it. It's worth the 90 minutes in the theater, trust me. And even if you're somebody like Mecca could walk into this movie not seeing a Rambo movie and probably enjoy this.
Yeah, probably would.
Not like the typical Rambo movie, and B, you haven't had to have seen all 4 Rambos before it to get it.
So it's kind of like how Halloween was a bit of a reboot, and
in a way, yeah, you can almost look at it like a soft reboot in a way, but like it's just all you need to know is the Rambo presence. Like there's so many great scenes where it's just because how dangerous this guy is, and he's in the middle of the situation, and there's people who don't know who he is, and we as the audience know who he is, but you haven't had to see all the movies. You know who Rambo is.
Mhm.
You know he's not the guy to fuck with. You know he's not
Exactly.
the guy to lie to. You know he's not the guy to mess with. You know.
He's like Vietnam War vet John Wick.
Yeah, it is. It's just, if you liked John Wick, give this a shot. You'll love it. It's not you, Mecca, necessarily. I'm just saying people in the chat, everybody. I mean, because I know you don't like it when I tell you what to watch. So another $10 from Adam Wolford coming through like a champ. Here's a real scary thing that is coming. It doesn't care if you're a man or a woman, white or black. In 2029, the asteroid will come close to Earth, and it comes back 2 years later, most likely kill us all. Well, they do say, I hear stuff like that all the time. So I mean, I hope that's not true. If it is, I guess we better party like it's 1999 before 2029.
Going back to the Joker thing, though, you're mentioning
Yeah.
like the people bring up the fear of the incels and, you know, looking up to the Joker and what he'd done. And I kind of understand the fear because it's not like the incels are known for being stable. So I do kind of understand the fear of looking up incels looking up to the Joker and kind of recreating or, you know, acting out in his honor or whatever. So I kind of get it, but I do want to see that movie.
Well, and I think the important thing is to not be so combative against society. You know, don't make people feel like you're taking shots at them, and that's the biggest thing is like the studios, the verified check marks on Twitter, the movie reviewers, you know, the people who work for you know the news sites and the entertainment sites, like they take shots at people, and they're, you know, you get enough people saying quit making fun of me, quit calling me names, quit doing all these things, and they're gonna, you know, they might create some of this in how they're handling it, because, you know, if there are people out there who are inspired to do some bad things because of the Joker, maybe making a society so unwelcoming and so unforgiving of, you know, any sort of not socially normal thing, not, you know, like if you're socially unacceptable in some way, if you're awkward or if you're weird or if you take an antidepressant or something, or if you know, and that's kind of how we're at, that anybody who is not this little stereotype is the enemy, and they're always looked down upon, and they get lumped into this other stereotype, I guess. So, you know, they can kind of avoid some of this by being less judgmental and preachy and less combative, and try and just stop starting fights with people online, I guess, is the best way to, because that's what they do. They just go out of their way to say this is, you know, all the Trump supporting incel white man babies are gonna love this, and blah, blah. Really, you're not doing yourself any favors. You're not looking like any less of a child by saying that on Twitter, you know, and you've got a verified check mark and you work for USA Today or whatever.
Let's even take it to a place that isn't so politically driven. Look at the Anas situation. I've already seen 1.5 billion trolls out there gloating and glutton about this whole situation, and it's like, dude, you really gonna sit there and dance around about a corporate entity beating the hell out of a little guy? Really? That's what you're gonna do? That's the stance you're going to take. And I got into it with one of these shitheads, and I said flat out, it's like, you know, this is the problem with you guys. You know, we wouldn't have such an issue, but this kind of shit right here is the problem. And it's like, oh, well, you guys are the ones spreading toxicity and false lies and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, please tell me one false thing that Midnight's Edge has ever said. Couldn't come back with anything. But then he said, yeah, but you guys are attacking everybody who blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, we don't. We don't attack anybody. Oh, yeah, well, you've attacked the
Did you drop out, Tom? Oh no, I think his mic muted, or did mine? Tom, you dropped out, or your mic muted. But we got a super chat. He'll probably have to
There he is. Okay. Welcome back, sir. Sister Heroin. Go ahead.
No, it was you. You dropped out. Go ahead.
I dropped out?
Yeah, I couldn't hear you.
Oh, okay. But no, I was like, what I was saying was they came back with nothing because they didn't have anything when I said prove anything that Midnight's Edge has said it's false or reported as false, and they didn't have nothing. But then they're like, well, yeah, well, you guys attack people and blah blah blah, and you're toxic. I'm like, no, we don't attack anybody personally like you guys do for something they feel about a show, basically, you know, in so many words. And then, yeah, well, you attack the actors and stuff. Like, no, they come after the viewers and stuff themselves. If they can't take the heat, then they need to get the fuck out the kitchen, because they bring it themselves, you know. So yeah, but that's what I said. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to drop out. Obviously, I had no choice.
Sorry.
A $10 super chat though from Sister Harrow, actually Australian. I read that they are going to reimagine A Christmas Story with Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell. What does reimagine mean? What this is news to me. Let me check this out.
Oh no, don't know.
Didn't they just do A Christmas Story special like last year?
Yeah, it was like a for TV or something.
Yeah,
where they
it
had
was like a
Matthew
musical
Broderick.
or something.
Yeah,
Well, they've been doing these live TV things like they used to do back in the 50s and stuff like that. Like specials, like they did the Grease one a couple years back and some other. Yeah, it was part of that kind of fad.
Did anybody see it? Was it good? I didn't hear anything about it.
I didn't watch it.
I heard it was like really weird and awkward, and like some of the songs worked, some of them didn't. They included some kid just for diversity that wasn't even in the original story. They Matthew Broderick was dreadful apparently as the narrator.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything about this situation about the Christmas Story about Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell, but if I do, I'll bring it up here. But yeah, I don't know. This whole situation with everything is just getting sick and tiring. What more can we say other than go see Rambo?
Right?
I'm not getting paid to say that. Say it. I'm actually thinking about going to see it again.
See, and that's what I want with movies. I want movies that I want to be really excited to go see. I want to have like some movie where I'm like, oh, I got to drop everything and see. I think I was like that with the Trainspotting sequel.
That
was really good.
If this came out 10 years ago, I'd probably be like, it was all right. But it's the right time for this movie right now. There hasn't been nothing but crap all year. I needed a movie that is like we've had back that we haven't seen in so long, where it's not unapologetic, in your face, 1980s style action. It's amazing, and it's a great movie at its heart too. It's a good story. I mean, yeah, it's kind of reminiscent of some of the other things, like I said. But if you like those kind of movies, you'll like this movie. I mean, yeah, it's a little bit of revenge porn at a point, I guess you could call it that. But what the fuck is all this stuff? Is whether it's diversity porn? That's what we need to start calling this other stuff.
Diversity porn, yeah, or representation porn.
Yes, there you go. Diversity representation porn. Either or works. Yeah.
I've only seen 2 movies in the theater this year, and it was The Man Who Killed, or the Don Quixote one. I can't remember the title that Terry Gilliam did. But I saw that. What's that?
How was it? That's the movie he's been trying to make for like the last 30 years.
Yeah, he was working on it for like 17 years. I thought it was all right. It's not one of his best, but it's certainly worth a watch. I also just saw a couple weeks ago the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
So, see, I want to see that. I do want to see that.
It's a good watch. I definitely recommend seeing that one.
I wonder how much of the new Ghost songs were inspired by that movie coming out.
I don't know.
Because they go very 1960s, like 1969 Whiskey a Go Go.
Oh yeah,
yeah. They're really cool. But
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is probably my favorite movie of the year still thus far.
Which one?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh yeah.
And then, but the one that really kind of squeezed in here at the last minute and probably second or third place has got to be Rambo. Like any other year, it probably wouldn't have. And then I watched Endgame again the other night. I don't think it's as bad as some people say it is, but it's not great.
It wasn't that great, but I'm not like the hugest superhero movie genre.
No, yeah. But I've seen a lot of people come after it, and I'm just like, I don't think it's bad as a lot of people say.
Well, I kind of get like how else could they ended it really, but
yeah. Well, Jeremy posted something today about because they're doing an Oscar push for Endgame, and does it deserve the Oscars? I'm like, I think it deserves what I would call a Return of the King Oscar. And I don't know if Wizard knows what I'm talking about or Mecca knows what I'm talking about, but they gave Return of the King a buttload of Oscars. But let's face it, The Two Towers was the movie that actually deserved all the Oscars. Return of the King was just because of the accomplishment of the trilogy as a whole kind of thing. I think Ian McKellen also won that year, and all that kind of shit too.
Yeah, don't they sometimes do that? Well, where like they gave Julia Roberts an Oscar for whatever when she probably deserved it was.
Yeah, they do that all the time. So I'm like, if anything, if there's nothing else, like if in a year that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood doesn't exist, then maybe the Endgame deserves a best Oscar because of just the accomplishment that the MCU has pulled off in the last 10 years. But other than that, I don't know.
Do you want to see a Star Wars action figure spoiler?
Why not? I've seen you post something, and
This is-
whenever you do, it's always something. Right?
well, I don't know if you want to pull it up on camera, but yeah.
I'm getting there. Let's see. What the fuck? Oh, fuck me.
Yeah.
Are you a Star Wars fan, Wizard? I don't. I
Oh yeah, I enjoy Star Wars.
How do you feel about the last few movies?
I have not watched the Solo movie or the newest one, but I watched Part 7 and I thought it was all right. It was better than the prequels.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, it was better than the prequels, but you know, if you're not in a rush to see Last Jedi and have any love for the original trilogy, I would say don't.
Mm-hmm.
So spoiler, folks. I guess we kind of warned you.
Yeah. Spoiler.
Yeah. Do I even really care? That's the other question.
Weird.
Ray got a boo-boo. She got an owie finally.
Like
She
your
finally
daddy.
had something happen to her. Oh, do you think Luke's her daddy?
Oh, I'm pretty sure.
Because the other spoilers or that or the theories or leaks or whatever is that she's Palpatine's granddaughter.
Well, I think okay. Here's the thing that's kind of funny is I've been hearing this Chewie leak again coming back around.
She's Chewie's granddaughter.
No, Chewie dies.
Oh
And,
yeah.
And that was in our leak that we had
Yeah.
at the end of our leak video that we put out ourselves,
Yeah.
and evidently our leak is not allowed on Reddit, which is
Ooh.
weird. So I don't know if you guys have watched and out there listening have watched our Star Wars leak video yet, but if you haven't, the very last set of leaks that we talk about is ones that we heard about ourselves. And there we've been hearing some rumblings about that kind of match up with our leaks. So it'd be interesting if that's the case. I don't know.
So I wonder how authentic this is, or if this is a Photoshop. Now I've got to look. Now I'm going to look up Ray Black series.
That's a very good question because now that you say that, I can see where it could be a Photoshop.
Mm-hmm.
Because that, right there where the hinge is doesn't quite look right. But it's one of those pop out deals. But what's this? This little black bit here. That's not over here. So I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. Why does she look like an elf?
I don't know. Well, the same thing with Star Trek now too. The guy in Picard, he looks like he's right out of Lord of the Rings instead.
Yeah. Looks like Frodo.
That action figure is about a 3 at best.
Share the load. For those who get that joke. That's a nasty joke. I'm sorry.
And for you guys who are just joining us,
meme.
our guest does review action figures. So
don't look for that meme.
Don't look for the meme. All right, I'm gonna see if I can
Here's
find
the
it.
Yeah, the Lord of the Rings thing. If you have a queasy stomach, don't look for it. Or you're real prudish, don't look for it either.
All right, I'm googling it. I'm looking up, see if I can
Of
find
course
Black. No, I'm googling the Ray action figure. See if
Oh,
I can
never
find
mind. Okay, I thought you were gonna look up Share the Love.
I'm not. Oh, there's the Red Stormtrooper or the Sith Trooper. Yay!
Yep, the Sith Trooper.
God.
Yeah.
They have it on Entertainment Earth. Let me look there. And yeah, they don't pay me to say, ooh, Ouija board. What's this? Playing cards? Ooh, I need that. Damn it, Entertainment Earth. This is what happens when you go there and you're a toy collector like me. You see stuff you want. Damn it. All right, let's go to Star Wars.
You're into toys, right, Wizard? I love toys too. Mecca knows that.
Oh yeah.
Now, I'm one of those. I want to just hear, like, I know you said your reviews are a little different. I haven't had a chance to check out a lot of your reviews. Of course, full disclosure, Mecca just brought me to your attention this afternoon, as I was trying to say earlier. Now, do you generally get into like just whether or not it's even worth the $80 they want for most of these? Anyway.
What's that?
Do you cover a lot of the newer ones or older ones, or what?
No,
do you
I cover a lot of older ones. I'm kind of on a limited budget, so it's like I'd like to do newer ones, but a lot of them are so more pricey than I would like to pay, and a lot of them I find are kind of bland. So I just kind of go for ones I can afford and look funny, basically.
Oh, that's cool. All right. Yeah. See, because I like to try find really good ones, and once in a while I'll spring a little bit, not too much though. It's like I can't justify spending,
Yeah.
over 30, 40 bucks on a figure.
Yeah.
It's like one of those 12-inch Ninja Turtle NECAs. Even then, them are still pricey. I don't know if you know the ones I'm talking about, where they're the big ones from the 1990 movie.
Yeah, I've kind of been seeing those around some.
Yeah, they're really nice and they're kind of worth it. But I mean, other than that, I can't justify spending that kind of money on a figure. Sometimes. Yeah.
Mhm.
I rarely do. I've just spent a little bit on a couple, but largely I don't like to.
What's your main go-to collection? Like, what's
Right now, I'm like, she mentioned the old wrestling figures from the early 90s. WWF Hasbro's, I'm trying to get all of them, but it's going to take forever because the last series 11, they're all like $100 each at the very least. So, and sometimes with accessories, the accessories can be more than the figure itself. So it's going to take a lot of time to get through, but that's one thing I would like to get through all of them eventually.
Well, that's cool.
God, I had so many from like, I want to say probably 89 to 91 because you could get them really cheap, probably on clearance. I probably got them really cheap on clearance, like at Toys R Us or in a catalog somewhere, I want to say. And I probably got them relatively late. I probably got them in 1991. And, you would get like the entire thing with the ring and a whole bunch of figures. And
yeah.
But that was back in the day when it was WWF too.
Yep.
So. Yeah,
and they were like $3.99 each when they first came out, and like now they're like, most of them are at least 15 to 20. Some of them are way more.
I know. Like $3.99 a figure. What a deal!
Well, you get them on clearance too, right? You get them on clearance.
Yeah, clearance even better. But yeah, no, I remember like paying $3.99 for my first Ninja Turtle, paying like $4.99 or $3.99 for the Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
GI Joes were in that $2.99 range, and I mean, yeah, now that sounds like chump change, but back then to save that up as a kid,
yeah,
when your allowance was like $5.
Yeah, I can buy one Turtle a week.
Yeah. Remember when 1980s money? Well, I would get like extra money for Garbage Pail Kids and stuff. I was into that stuff too as a kid. But then again, I still have my Garbage Pail Kids.
When my dad would get drunk, and since I live in a small town, that's how he babysat us. Would be sat at the bar, Here, go do something, get out of the bar, So we'd go down and just buy bubblegum cards and other shit from the drugstore, clean them out, and Mom would be like, "Where the hell did all your money go?" I don't know, Mom, but I got a whole collection of Topps Ninja Turtle cards.
Yeah, I have all the wacky packages, the whole series, but I got those at like Frugal,
the
Big Lots.
Kids, I loved all those, yeah.
So of course you're gonna buy junk because you don't have a lot of money, but you have a little bit of money, and that's what they're forgetting with comic books now too. The kids don't have a lot of money. You need the little comic books at the grocery store so they can just buy them and be like and really get into these characters. Not that Kamala Khan is any character worth getting into, or Captain Marvel, or any of these awful people anymore, but that's bringing it back to comic books and stuff, but.
No, but it's true, and I remember comic books were a lot cheaper when I was a kid, and I remember when they shot up in the 90s. But yeah, it's
like Captain April sent me this one. This was a couple years after I stopped collecting comics, even. Well, it was Archie and the Punisher. So yeah, $4 for 1994, which this is totally right up my alley too. So thanks, Captain April.
Rambo.
Yeah. And like $4, but they're printed really nice. This has a really nice cover. I think the regular books were like $2.99. And this has like a more embossed cover, and it's a thicker. So
yeah, that's still quite a price though for just a little magazine like that.
That looks amazing, just based on the concept alone.
I need the Archie and the Fighting Zombies one too. I know that's another crossover. Or didn't they do a Predator one too?
I think
versus Predator.
They've done a few wacky crossovers. But,
Archie versus I don't remember. Yeah, some of the crossovers look really awesome, but.
I suppose it's been a fun little over an hour, and
fun stream.
Yeah,
might as well wrap things up. Do check out Wizard of Ass. I'm sure I'm going to check out some of his stuff myself. Of course, as always, check out Mecha Random's channel if you haven't already, and do check out the main channel as well. And make sure you're subscribed and the bell icon is lit up. And we want to thank everybody for joining us. We wish Rob some we wish Rob a safe journey, and hopefully we hear from him soon, and we'll get a report from you guys on what's going on and what you guys have been up to, and we'll see what's going on this weekend. I'm sure we'll have something at some point, somewheres, besides just Rambo Roundtable. But I think we're planning on doing that this weekend sometime. So, all right. So,
well, thank you for having me on, yo.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. Until then, why don't you guys say goodbye and take care to all the people out there in the chat.
Yeah, I'm gonna link Wizard of Ass's newest video too here, so go watch that.
Yeah, and thanks for joining us, Wizard of Ass. And as always, thanks for watching out there in the chat, and we'll see you next time.